What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 186, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, and on today's episode, we're going to talk all about that Xbox game showcase. But before we get to that, got to introduce my co-host, JamPackSam. How we doing, buddy?
I am absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to talk about it. I could not be better. I am so happy.
Yeah, you did send me quite a lovely gif, I will say, in our private chat after the showcase ended, which I was like, okay, I now know Sam's feelings about this showcase. But I'm excited to break it down. We're gonna go through game by game. It's not gonna be a normal episode for anyone listening. We're not gonna do the what you've been playing section. We'll save all that for Thursday when we get back to our regular cadence. This is strictly an episode about the Xbox game showcase. So if you want to come and watch us normally live Thursdays right here on youtube.com/save the game media, make sure to do that this Thursday when we come back with our regularly scheduled episode. Audio post Friday mornings. This audio is going to go up right after because we want to make sure got that episode in your feeds ready to go, ready for you to listen to because it wasn't there this week. While you're over there, make sure to drop us those 5-star reviews, leave us subscribe to the channel, all the rigmarole that we're going through. I'm just so excited to get to the actual meat of the show,
Oh, yeah.
But before we do that, I gotta thank our patrons. So thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/save the game media. If you want to go over there, choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current Patreon supporter. So thank you to Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Lindsay, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, David Hotright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Alpaca Tom, Lee Navarro, Silkinit, and the newest patron, Ellery Woods Parker the third. Thank you for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Sam, let's jump right into it. The Xbox Game Showcase literally just ended. We watched it. I got to know your overall thoughts about the showcase.
The best showcase that I have ever seen from Xbox personally. And this is like me sitting down on the couch, taking it all in. I don't have notes, especially the first 30 minutes of the presentation where it was like starting off with Call of Duty, going straight into Doom, it was just win after win after win. For me, like my personal taste, for my personal interest, there could not have been a better showcase delivering everything that it was great. I have no suggestions at all. Now, I know you have different feelings about it potentially.
Yeah, so we just finished our live react here on the channel with me and the rest of the Save the Game Media crew, and it was kind of a mixed bag. Kyle was disappointed. Brandon gave it a 5 out of 10, which I think is a little wild. Bree was actually pretty high on it. Sam, I think 7 or 8 out of 10. Nothing good, not great, and that's kind of where I'm landing as well. I think this was a good Xbox showcase. I don't think this was a great Xbox showcase, and it's very interesting when I logged on to Twitter. And I never know where I'm going to land. It's kind of like when you have a review embargo and you're like, oh man, this game is great or this game is awful. You don't know what everyone else is thinking about it. So it's really interesting to see, like, when you log on to social media, the reviews start dropping. What's everyone? Am I the outlier? And I feel like I am kind of an outlier, especially among the community that we kind of roll with. I see everyone 10 out of 10, greatest Xbox showcase ever. And I just don't feel that. For me, I think the Xbox showcases of the last probably 4 years were better than this. And that's not to say there aren't great announcements in the showcase, because I do think there are great things here. I just think that this had some problems and some omissions that almost I thought were guaranteed that weren't here, that are seemingly bringing me to a less excited place.
Hollow Knight. I see where you're getting at.
Not that one. Not that. I literally told Bree and Kyle were like, Hollow Knight's gonna be here. We need it for fantasy. I'm like, Hollow Knight is not gonna be in this showcase.
Yeah. So what didn't show up, or how do you want to go about this? Do we want to talk about what was there? Do we want to talk about what wasn't there?
Why don't I get the nitpicks out of the way, and then we can talk about the games, highlight the positives, because there's not much here I'm going to go through and be like, this game was awful. Why did they show this? It's not that type of thing. It's just when leading up to the show, we had seen a bunch of leaks and rumors, and the people were saying, oh, the Xbox handheld's going to get announced here. And for me, I never personally believed that rumor. I felt that was a little far-fetched, and that wasn't announced here. So I'm not docking at any points for that. but it does seem to me that like a lot of the leaks and people in the know definitely were not in the know about this
Yeah.
showcase because some things that they said were going to happen did not. But one of the big, like maybe the biggest omission for me is no Activision Blizzard drop. Like,
Oh yeah.
thought for sure there was going to be some back compat or Game Pass announcement for their older titles, and we got absolutely nothing from it.
Yeah, I think that is very strange. And I know that as we're recording this, I think the Call of Duty thing just wrapped up. So I'm making sure that we don't have any like things that we're missing if that
Hmm.
was announced at the end of the showcase.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, there was not a huge Activision Blizzard presence. I mean, there was, but not in terms of Game Pass drops, like I think you're getting at. And I mean, we kind of had that building up to the showcase event with I think Spyro got on the Xbox launcher on PC. There have just been a couple of like signifiers that something was about to happen, and yeah, they chose not to do that during the Xbox showcase. So I don't know what's up with that. I agree. I didn't even think about that during the in the moment. You know.
I don't think most people were thinking about it because I wasn't thinking about it until afterwards, and I remembered like, oh yeah, we had people that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 said it was coming to the Microsoft Store, which these things could still happen. Like
Yeah.
this drop still could happen. And it could be a blog post, and it's not like a showcase worthy thing, but it did feel to me like I was going to walk away with that. So it's kind of it's hard for me to say like, oh, they should have included this. That would have made it a better show. But it does seemingly feel like, oh, we did miss that. And that's really my biggest critique, I think, outside of release dates. And we'll get into those as we go more. But there was a surprising lack of release dates for some big titles in this showcase.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll get to it, but stuff like Fable definitely rubbed me the wrong way. Not in a huge significant way, but I'm like, really? Year two for that kind of thing?
Hmm.
In regards to the Game Pass stuff, I could make an argument not to like back it up not being there, but like you don't want to totally blow your marketing, you know, summer budget all in one day. And so, and even in terms of mind share as well, because people are going to be talking about the showcase because the others haven't delivered much of anything.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be dominating the conversation for at least the next week. Wait until the middle of July and be like, hey, by the way, that thing was cool last month, right? Anyways, here's every Call of Duty.
Hmm.
Enjoy, and then just kind of like build it up. But that's more my mind's at with it too.
And I certainly hope it is something like that. I hope that they start to ramp up the excitement as we get closer to Black Ops 6. It remains to be seen. It's certainly possible. But why don't we actually jump into the games? Because I do think there's a lot of good games to talk about in the showcase. Like I said, good, not great for me. I know everyone else loved it. Saw Ryan McCaffrey over at IGN say it was the best Xbox showcase ever.
Mm.
I don't know about that, but everyone's got their own opinion. So we started off with a trailer for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Obviously, they just wrapped up that about 40-minute direct or so after the showcase. I thought this looked surprisingly for me. So I say surprising because I haven't been a Call of Duty guy. Like kind of good. Like I'm kind of interested to play the campaign when it drops on Game Pass. I was like, they're nailing it. They got everything I'm looking for, like a little espionage story going on. They got the bombastic moments. The cinema was on full display here. So I don't really have many notes about this one except like it showed a lot better, and I'm kind of more excited for it than I anticipated.
Yeah, I have not looked at the deep dive of like the multiplayer stuff. I know there were rumors going around earlier this morning that the old Prestige system was coming back. So, like the intricacies of multiplayer aside, talking about the actual story, the content, the
Hmm.
gameplay. Yeah, I mean it's more Black Ops, and Frank Woods is at the heart of the story. That's one thing that I caught from the post show direct. So this is for me one of those games that it's showing Xbox with their new acquisitions getting back to the core of like what Xbox has typically been known for, and that's a lot of what I saw throughout the show. And I will get into more of what that also means later on. Um, but yeah, Black Ops 6 looks great. They're picking up with some of the Cold War characters that I know were fan favorites. So more of that coming back. It's going to be more Call of Duty, and like that's what people want. So I'm excited to play it on Game Pass now too.
Yeah, we got a release date as well, October 25th. This is
Yeah.
dropping Xbox, Game Pass, PlayStation. So I think it's good to get this one out of the way, kind of just highlight it and let them know the direct will be after the showcase for those hardcore Call of Duty fans. So not a surprise. I think we saw something similar last year with Starfield, where we had a little Starfield teaser, and then they're like, stay tuned after the showcase. So
Yeah. Now, do you think that this sets a precedent where going forward, every game shown after the Xbox showcase is now Call of Duty because it does not
I
get bigger
hope
than
not.
that?
I hope not. That would be a little disappointing for, like, people that aren't big into Call of Duty, and it
Yep.
would just get boring, I think. It's like, "Oh, yeah, it's Call of Duty Direct." Like, if you're gonna have a Call of Duty Direct, just have it's their own little thing whenever they wanna do it. I think they're big enough that if they announce a marketing beat, they can certainly do that and save this for, like, next year. Right now, I'd say, like, a Fable deep dive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that Call of Duty has proven that it's big enough to do that. Like they've done it every year. I mean, typically Call of Duty Next is held in end of July, beginning of August, I think, somewhere around there. Maybe September, I'm not sure, but it always goes. It does the deep dive thing, and they might have announced one during the direct afterwards. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do. I agree that it should be a rotating kind of cycle. I think it makes sense for it to have been Call of Duty this year because you just bought it. Like this is your big time to
Mhm.
shine of like show it off and regain that ownership over it. I mean, even Phil said this is the first time Call of Duty's been on the stage in 10 years. Like that's a big statement to make during your showcase. So I hope it continues to be diverse, but it was cool to see it this time around.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we got Doom: The Dark Ages. This game obviously leaked prior to the showcase. They revealed the gameplay trailer. It's coming out next year, 2025. It has been confirmed, multi-platform, PS5, PC, Xbox Series consoles. Man, I thought this looked awesome. I'm
Oh yeah.
super pumped for this game. I loved Doom Eternal. This looks maybe even better to me from a combat standpoint. Like that shield, so cool. Like
Yeah.
throwing it, it's got the blades on it, and then some of the weapons like absolutely ridiculous, like very medieval inspired. But I'm really pumped for this. Like this is a they started the showcase very strong. I'm like that Doom knocking it out of the park right now.
Absolutely. I mean, going from Call of Duty straight into Doom with like a little in between from Phil could not get better for me. Like Doom, since the Dark Ages leak a couple of weeks ago, this has like been one of the games that I'm most excited to see, and it did not disappoint. I mean, the gameplay looks fantastic. It looks like the rumors were true, and they might have slowed it down a little bit because Eternal was a very fast-paced game. Like
Mhm.
it was almost to the point that it was like a rhythm shooter. Like it felt like Metal Hellsinger to some degree of like you just got to keep going and just not even stop. This looks like it could be a little bit more like Doom 2016, kick it back a little bit. But I love the kind of like I mean, obviously it's the medieval vibe, but I almost wanted to say like high fantasy plus technology blend of the way that things look, the aesthetic. Really, really excited about this. And I think it's one that warrants being released or announced a year before it's ready. Like, I think there's enough hype right there to where it's not like, oh, got to wait a year. It feels good. So I'm
From
excited.
from what they showed, I wouldn't be surprised if this was, and I think this might have been one of your predictions, like an early 2025 game, like spring,
Yeah.
possibly, because like it looked like, oh, this is almost ready to go from the. I know this is a vacuum that they show these trailers in, but like if the rest of the game can look this good, like I'm here for it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been, let's see, Doom Eternal was what, 20,
2020.
was it 22? Yeah, because it was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So you're looking at 4 years right now to probably be about five. I would imagine this is like their 2025 summer blockbuster game. Like it's like a May or June. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Next up, State of Decay 3. This one, unfortunately, also leaked like yeah, either last night or this
Yeah.
morning. I saw that some internal or some document was like, oh, Undead Labs getting a new logo and guaranteed showcase or at the showcase tomorrow. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That being said, while this was a mostly CGI story trailer, I do think the small snippets of gameplay they showed, like the third person over the shoulder, the shooting, you had a few clips in there, looked way better than something like State of Decay 3, or State of Decay 2, sorry, State of Decay 2, which I did play quite a bit of and liked. But this looks like they've taken the feedback and kind of improved the gameplay aspect of State of Decay as well as the visuals. No date on this one, not even a window. So the people telling me that this was a 2025 game, and I was like, this is definitely not a 2025 game. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a while off still.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's still so far out. I mean, we assume, they could surprise us a little bit more, but the little like 3 second snippets of gameplay look very, very good. The thing that always threw me off about State of Decay 2 is what made it State of Decay, like the kind of community management slash resource management element of it. Um, and so I don't know if State of Decay 3 is going to be the game for me. It just depends on how much they allow you to focus on stuff that's outside of like the resource gathering and kind of the survival elements of it. But aesthetically, like the look of the game, very, very impressive. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to see where it nets out and learn more about it. This is one of those games that I feel like I'm going to know if I'm going to enjoy it from a gameplay deep dive, like show me the mechanics of it. And so we're just not there yet. But I'm glad that it wasn't MIA. Like that's when I would have been like, hey, where's State of Decay 3? So it's definitely good to see it in general.
This is one of those games that I think benefits like diving in with friends, and especially if you
Mm.
have like a friend that's been a long time State of Decay player and like knows the ropes and the mechanics and stuff you can do because it's like recruiting and like saving other people, building bases. It's one of those type of games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to whenever it does come out. I'm expecting 2026 the earliest. We'll see on that. Oh, Silken in the chat said the kaiju battle. If we want to talk about Doom, we forgot to mention that. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
Megazord in
Yeah, the kaiju
in
battle of the
Doom.
giant Doom mech versus the giant demon. Big fan of that. Looked very cool.
Next up, we got our first third party announcement with EA and BioWare. Dragon Age The Veil Guard was showed 2024 coming this later this year. Not to Game Pass or anything, it was just a third party. We're showing the first reveal trailer of this. No gameplay. This was more of a CGI trailer, which again is one of my big criticisms of this showcase is I think there was a bit too much of the CGI, even for
Mm,
games that we have gameplay. I know they're doing a gameplay breakdown for this week, so this kind of read to me like one of those, hey, come check out our little like
yeah.
our gameplay thing. But cool to finally get it announced. I think it was Jeff Grubb said this wouldn't be here, and we get a Dragon Age like remake or remaster or something. Um, Not the case. So I I don't know how to feel because in terms of Dragon Age, I've only really played Inquisition. I
Mhm.
love Mass Effect. I played all the Mass Effect games, so like that's where my BioWare love is. Dragon Age Inquisition, I did really like. This looks a little more like cartoony and goofy to me
Yeah.
than Dragon Age Inquisition, and that wasn't like an endearing quality of it.
Yeah, I think that so to back up, I know Jeff Grubb, I think he was kind of like he was right about it, where he said that it wasn't going to be it was Dragon Age Dreadwolf before. And
Yeah.
so it was a name change that he was insinuating.
Uh,
And so this is the something that I think they revealed it officially. Again, I've been kind of off socials just to like maintain the experience for
mhm.
myself. But they said they wanted to focus more on the characters of this cast that you're kind of in command of. And I agree. So for me, I'm compartmentalizing my feelings because I'm not your typical Dragon Age fan. Like I've never played a Dragon Age game. I respect the fact that it's gotten the respect. It's kind of one of
Yeah.
those games for me, and so I'd want to hear from somebody who's been looking forward to the next Dragon Age since I think Inquisition was 2015, if I remember correctly.
2014 game of the
14.
year 2014.
So 10 years. I mean, some people have been waiting for this for a decade at this point. For me, I'm cautiously optimistic and interested in what it could be. That's coming from somebody who's never played a Dragon Age game. So I don't know how the general community is feeling about it. I'm sure if you go over on Reddit, it's on fire, either in a good way or a bad way.
Mhm.
But I thought it was solid. I do agree it's a little bit too, or it's more like you said, funny, kind of comical, a little bit anime. It kind of feels like Fable almost in the characters the way they are. So I didn't expect that, but I don't hate it either.
Yeah, I'm not like I'm not like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna play this game because they're trying to have a more humorous side to it." I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch the deep dive this week, and I'll make up my mind depending on what they show there, because, like, if it is just the Dragon Age or the gameplay looks awesome, like, then I'm in still because I really do I
Yeah.
like the story, I like that kind of fantasy world, so this isn't a complete I'm not playing it, but it was a very interesting tone for, someone that has kind of familiar with Dragon Age.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
5. Starfield Shattered Space DLC trailer coming 2024, still no release date. We also got the announcement that new content would be available tonight, including new bounties, community content. Like, this was awesome. I thought this trailer looked really cool, got me excited to go back to Starfield. I don't know if I'm going to, I mean, I got time right now. Maybe I'll jump in, check out some of the new content that's dropping in the game. I don't know if that was a new like faction they were talking about,
It
or
looked like
it's
it. I'm not
that's
super familiar with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's I'm like I've never heard of them before. It almost seemed like they were going to be a new faction in the game. If that's the case, that's really cool. But yeah, new content coming tonight. Community content's finally here. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a firm release date. Like, let me pencil this in on the calendar when I can dive back in. Seemingly confirms focus on House of Varun, which I wanted. I think most people kind of figured that was going to be the case, since that was kind of the one part we didn't really get in Starfield. So I got no notes. I'm excited to head back to Starfield later this year.
Yeah, a little bit of a preface for me. So at the beginning of the showcase, I was like speeding home, literally going like 85 down the highway because I was not, my timing did not go well. So I'm like booking it. I come in, I'm starving. Like I'm over here eating cold pizza, just
Hmm.
leaning over a
Hmm.
sink, and I hear like Starfield because I'm watching the trailers go, and I turn around and it's like the point that I'm getting to is some of these things, like these shots they had, are jaw dropping. Like we
Yeah.
all know Starfield can be a very good looking game, but some of the wider shots, like one that's captured on the thumbnail here that I think we're both looking at in this article, I mean, it is a stunningly good looking game at some points. And so I'm really excited to see what they do with the overall feel of this. It's got a very kind of like alien vibe to it, like Alien the movies, like the Ridley Scott stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really excited to see where they go with that. And it's not just going to be more Starfield like it is, but it's going to be more than just more Starfield. So I'm very, very excited about this. And I never did go back and check out the 60 FPS patch. So this is a really good opportunity for me to do that. I'm kind of still on my Diablo kick right now. I know we didn't talk about what we've been playing, but I also have some time. So I might go back and check this out this week. Very, very cool.
Uh, Sorry, I just looking, making sure no breaking news. I did see, and maybe I'll throw it in here. Eidos Montreal says they're working on Fable as well,
Ah,
so they're
cool.
supporting the development. That's very cool. Looks like Embracer's just like, we need money. All right, you
Oh,
guys are
yeah.
farming these out, but
Which is
yeah.
fine. Use that power, that development experience, and get that thing looking good. I'm down.
Yeah, sticking with Bethesda, Fallout 76, Skyline Valley, June 12th. This is the classic. We need our MMO spotlights. So ESO comes up later. I know, don't really have much to say about either of those. That's June 18th. So next 2 weeks, you're gonna have your MMO style expansions dropping. If you're into these kind of games, that's awesome. I don't particularly have much to say about either of them.
Yeah, no, it's more of the game that you're expecting. I think it's cool that they had Fallout at the show, not that they wouldn't, but obviously coming off of the show, the big Fallout kick, having more of that presence there just kind of digs in deeper into those mind shares, and say, hey, by the way, on top of all of this other stuff, we also happen to be Fallout. So it's good to keep that presence there for sure.
Maybe my favorite announcement of the showcase, maybe.
Hmm?
Sandfall Interactive showed up with Expedition 33, a new game coming 2025 to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. Ben Starr was doing the voiceover for this one. This looks fantastic. This is like a turn-based RPG. I just, man, I was blown away. Like, this might have been the biggest surprise. I was like, who is Sandfall? And then you hear Ben Starr talking. They're talking about, there's some sort of poet over that keeps drawing, or not poet, an artist that keeps talking about death, and then like it kills all the people, so they keep sending people out to take her down. And then you're part of the new expedition, the 33rd one. So it looks like it has some sort of real time parrying or like
Hmm.
bonus attack element to it. So I'm super pumped. Like, this looks amazing to me.
Yeah, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, this is a Kevin game. I
That's
could
what
tell
everyone said
immediately.
on the stream
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I was
Kevin.
like, this almost looks as good as a Plague Tale, but with like RPG elements. And oh yeah, this is Kevin game.
Yep.
But yeah, this one caught my eye too. I'm very excited to give it a shot. It is a Game Pass game, which is super neat.
Hmm.
So that's a big win for me. Obviously, this is a really good example of a game that I would be very into, but it would be a wait for a sale just because when you're working with a set amount of money, you stick to your guns and things you know you're going to like. So having that on Game Pass is going to be a big one. I know this is one that my fiance was also kind of eyeballing a little bit. So, yeah, super cool to see games like this get the spotlight after that bigger stuff we just talked about.
Yeah. Next up, South of Midnight got a gameplay reveal 2025 coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass from Compulsion. Obviously, a first party. We got the reveal trailer last year. I'm glad they showed gameplay because this really took me by surprise. I gotta say, I did not expect. Like, I was like, okay, what type of game is it? I was worried it was just going to be a CGI trailer. They were hanging out a little too long. Then they jumped to that third person over the shoulder action adventure style game. Some of the combat looked a little rough to me. I would say, like, okay, they got time to polish it. That's fine. 2025 kind of surprised me. I would lean more towards the end of 2025. I was Xbox. I really let them work. But then you go into things like her jumping into the wind stream with the birds and flying. I was like, oh man, some of this looks so cool. Like, this really sold me on South of Midnight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the art style of the cinematics is a little bit jarring to me. It's almost like a stop motion kind of look to it, which
Yep.
is what we saw last year as well. And it's kind of weird seeing it in motion as you will in the game. That being said, the more that I watched it, the more that I got used to it. And then I'm glad that it's not as noticeable in the gameplay. Like you can kind of see that on the movement of the characters, but it's not quite as stop motiony. Which again, no dig against that art style. It's just not something that I'm typically used to seeing. And so, not the kind of game that I expected it to be either. I was kind of expecting something different, and very happy with what they've got here. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more. And take your time, make it good, but it looks visually very, very good. Very, very good.
Yeah. I'm not like the art style isn't my favorite thing I've ever seen, but like when the gameplay looks fun and I was like, I'm willing to look. The art style of a game is not the end all be all for me. I think I learned that from like Psychonauts, where if I look at
Mm.
Psychonauts, I'm like, a lot of these characters look really ugly, but then that's a 10 out of 10 game for me. Like, I think that is just perfection for 3D platformers. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The art style is definitely not everything. There's some things that like it'll make me lean more into it than others. I hate to like throw Harold Halibut under the bus like this, but like I just don't want to play that weird clay looking game. Like I'm good. Thank you though. But South of Midnight is not that for me. So I'll be there.
World of Warcraft got an expansion highlight, The War Within. Just a CGI trailer hyping it up. PC August 26th. No Game Pass, no nothing. Just come buy our World of Warcraft expansion.
Yeah, I think this for me was more of a signifier of like, hey, by the way, once again, on top of Call of Duty and Doom and all of these other things we just talked about, we're also World of Warcraft now. So like, enjoy the new expansion. And it's cool that they're able to get that double exposure for the PC audience that typically wouldn't watch this kind of thing. Like the World of Warcraft people will have their RSS feeds up, and they'll be like, wait, it was announced where? And then they'll say like, oh, it's it's Xbox if you're out of the know. So
Mhm.
yeah, cool just to see it at the show. And I thought that as always, Blizzard kills it with the cinematics, as we
Yeah.
talk about with Diablo. But man, like nobody does a cinematic like Blizzard. It looks so good.
It's funny because I was like, it's so weird that I'm watching the cinematic for this, and I'm like, this looks amazing. And then you go play World of Warcraft,
Oh
and it
yeah,
doesn't look anything like that. It's like polygons at this point. But
yeah, it's
uh
pretty bad.
next up, Konami showed up with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. No date on this one. I don't. It was rumored 2024. Then it was rumored to be delayed to 2025. I think it's pretty safe to say it's coming next year. It looks a lot better than the previous showing. I will say that. I think this trailer did a lot to ease concerns that the remake wasn't doing well. It was maybe in some sort of development trouble. But I'm not. I'm not the biggest. I'm not a fan at all of Metal Gear Solid, so this isn't for me. But I'm happy for the people that are excited for this.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I want to play it because I know so many people love Metal Gear, and 3 is like one of the ones that everybody always talks about. I played a little bit of 4 and 5, but I never got into it in any kind of deep way. But like you said, it looks great. I thought it was very interesting that they announced it during a PlayStation show, and then they show off the first gameplay trailer at an Xbox show. So I don't know if that's like Phil throwing around some money, or if that's like a tactical decision by Konami for them to say, hey, we're on PlayStation and Xbox. But either way, works for me. I don't know if it'll be a day one for me, but definitely one that I do want to check out because it looks visually really good.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, Sea of Thieves, season 13, July 25th. You can become the bad guy now, I think, is the big update here. I'm sure Captain Logan will break it down on Keelhauled, but this is this is one of the games of all time, as Kyle said during the
It
show.
is indeed. Yeah, I have nothing to add for Sea of Thieves. More Sea of Thieves. Keep it going. Congrats, Rare, on your success with this. But yeah, it's kind of like the Mr. Krabs meme when he's ringing the triangle of like, give it up for day 33. Yeah, it's a season 13. Let's go. But enjoy. Have fun.
Tell me when they add banjo to it, then I'll come.
Okay, yeah.
12. Flintlock Siege of Dawn finally got its release date July 18th, coming to Series X and S, PC, and Game Pass. They showed some more gameplay trailer. I'm kind of been interested in this since the first time we saw it. I don't think this is going to be like a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Like I would even struggle to say this is going to be an 8 out of 10. This looks to me like a 7 out of 10 game that I can have a lot of fun with. They call it a Souls Light, which gives me like maybe it won't be too difficult. Maybe I can still find some enjoyment with it. But the fact that it is on Game Pass really eases concerns of me jumping in. Like I don't have to spend a bunch of money. I can try it out. If it does turn out like, wow, I suck or like this game isn't fun for me, I don't lose anything. So I'm looking forward to it. July 18th, I go on vacation a little after that, so it might be one I check out when I get back in August, but I'm looking
Oh.
forward to playing it.
Yeah, I am shockingly looking forward to this one. I liked the Last of Us font styles they chose for the trailer. I thought that was a nice touch. They were like, "Hey, how hard can we go in this safe zone?
Mhm.
Like, I want to be on the edge of the screen with these things."
Yeah.
But I agree. This is giving Atlas Fallen. Like that's where I'm
Yeah.
at with this. Where like it looks really good, and then I just know that it's not going to be as good as it looks. I also feel like maybe it was just my stream or not. I'm going to go back and look at the video now, but it was like there were certain elements where I was like, looks a little bit a little double A, which is fine. You know, like I'm not complaining about that. But it's one I've been looking forward to for a while as well. I think this is a Game Pass drop too.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll definitely be there on day one. It's one that I'll look forward to and play. And again, these are the games that I like. This is kind of like the meat of the industry for me, where yeah, you've got your big boys and stuff that are coming through, but this is like, all right, you know, something different, something unique. So I'm there for sure.
Uh, Age of Mythology Retold coming September 4th to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. This is for those Age of Empires, Civilization type players, which glad to see it's coming Xbox and PC same time. I think that really helps broaden your market, but this is not a game for me at all.
My understanding is Age of Mythology is a very big deal for people. Like this was like a very
That's what I've heard.
nostalgia packed one. I'm also not that type. Like if you show me a hexagon grid, I'm gonna go run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a minute. Not my kind of game, but I know Age of Mythology is a big deal, and it looks cool. Like it's got very unique ideas to it, and I might give it a shot. You know, we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, it's if you're a fan of Age of Empires, it's your kind of thing. So go for it.
Fun fact: Black Ops 6 will take up 300 gigabytes.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, the good news is they have a new Xbox for you to load up. They expanded the storage for you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up. 14, Perfect Dark finally showed up.
That was
That was
shocking.
one of my predictions. Got a gameplay trailer, no release date, no release window. Gotta say, looks pretty good.
I am very surprised. I agree. I think it looks very good. I know that I was working on some stuff before we went live, and I was like, this kind of is like espionage prey. Like, and I don't hate it. I did not know where
With
this
some
game would
Mirror's
land.
Edge thrown in there.
Yeah, with a little bit of parkour thrown in there. Very cool little parkour element. I was really shocked at how good this looks, and I'm very, very impressed so far. This has definitely gone it from it's gotten it from a like a it's been so long, I forget what it even is meant to be. What is this going to look like to a solid, like I would say 7 to 8 out of 10 on my hype scale of like, all
Mhm.
right, you know, this looks pretty neat. How are you feeling about it?
No, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to play this game. I don't know when it's coming. I really do feel like this showing off was kind of the word of my death has been greatly exaggerated type meme or
Yeah.
whatever it is because they just came out. They started doing these cool like parrying moves where she's like flip hurricanrana people. I'm like, no, what's going on here? Like she's got some combat skills. She's got the shooting. I was blown away genuinely. I thought it looked visually very impressive as well. Like we know that they're getting help from Crystal Dynamics on this game. The initiative is so that's just I can't speak highly enough about Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I want some more gameplay of it. I saw like slow motion elements, and I'm curious if that's an actual gameplay mechanic or if that was like a stylistic editing choice or like what's going on with all of that.
I
But
got the sense it was a gameplay mechanic, and
I
I
hope
I
so.
was gonna say like, oh, Killer Bean, we're changing the
Yes.
industry, changing the
Yes, Killer
industry.
Bean is projecting itself and really inspiring people. But if there's some really solid slow motion and perfect dark combined with that gameplay, I am absolutely more interested in that. So it looks very good. Shocked, but it looks good.
Yep. Number 15, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred is coming October 8th to Xbox and PC. This is the first expansion for Diablo 4. You can buy it separately, or if you have the Ultimate Edition like I do, you'll just get it rolled in. They showed a story cinematic trailer picking up. I said I was like, this story trailer is totally spoiling the end of Diablo 4. It's
It
like
is.
if you care about the campaign, like you just totally know the ending of that game now. But man, nothing beats, I know we said this earlier, nothing beats a Blizzard story cinematic because that was brutal to watch. And I'm like, I'm hopping back in October. I don't know what else to say.
Exactly. That's what Blizzard always does. And like obviously I've been on a big Diablo kick. Season 4 is great. Still playing it, grinding to 100 on my necromancer. Bought the battle pass, like the whole 9 yards, and it is so much fun. To see this, it brings me right back to the Diablo 4 reveal of like the almost like I don't even know what you call it, but like a sacrifice thing at the beginning of the game. Such a good cinematic. This is that, I would say, even better. Like I think it looks visually even better than it did a couple of years ago. And I cannot wait to play this. I know pets are coming back; that's a big deal. But just a new class as well that you can play as. That I think is a spirit something. There's like a different kind of class coming in that's not the one from Diablo Immortal, which is cool.
Hmm.
So yeah, new stuff coming in, and I'm definitely going to be there on day one. I know my fiance is going to be pumped about this one for sure, but kind of shocked it's coming out in October. I expected it sooner because season 4 ends in August, so I thought that they would just like roll into Vessel of Hatred. But hey, whatever, sure, take your time.
Next up, Fable. We got kind of a story trailer talking about it was an old hero from Albion talking about how they once had an apprentice who was like so good, and the whole time you're seeing the new protagonist of Fable thinking they're talking about her, but it turns out he had another apprentice who went evil, so she'll probably be the big bad of the Fable storyline. I I'm a little disappointed in this trailer. And I say that because like I think at this point we needed more gameplay. Like we got more this time around, but really was still almost a cinematic trailer. I still am not sold on not being able to make your own character. Like I
Mm.
know you couldn't like does you couldn't there was no character creators in the old ones per se, but like you could influence them. And so far we've only seen her looking exactly the same. So I really need to know like how things are going to change apart from like, oh, can I like obviously armor and stuff, I imagine, but do your choices actually have some sort of like visual effect on you like the old ones? So I don't know. It's not, I'm looking forward to Fable. I'm a huge Fable fan. This one, just like the trailer, I don't think worked for me.
Yeah, I am not a Fable fan. Never played a Fable game beyond like the first 15 or 20 minutes of Fable 2, I think I played on Game Pass at the beginning of this generation. I'm just disappointed. It's another trailer again. That's not real gameplay, like you said, for the second year in a row. And again, you know, we always talk about take your time. That's great, but like, show me along the way what's coming. Like, if Compulsion had done another South of Midnight trailer and it had just been like another slow, another cinematic like that, then it wouldn't have done anything for me. But show me gameplay, even if it's just a vertical slice of the game. I know what you're getting at. Like, I know
Hmm.
what to kind of expect. I know on XCP, Luke was talking a couple of weeks ago about how, like, show me the combat, show me what I'm actually going to be like, what's fighting like, what's the conversation like. And it's really just more world building, which might be the whole point. Maybe that's what they're trying to show off. It looks good, like the gameplay snippets that are shown off, visually impressive looking game, but I just want to know what the actual game is going to be for me. So it's not one that's like at the top of my list or anything, but yeah, just still cautious or cautious and curious, you know, like I'm optimistic, but also tempering my expectations. So
Hmm.
it's fine. You know, it is what it is.
2025 PC, Xbox, and Game Pass, obviously. Next up, maybe the strangest trailer of the day for me. I believe I wrote down Frag Punk, which I believe is the name, coming 2025. This game was very interesting. It was a 5v5 shooter where you use cards to change things during gameplay. Like I know they made grass grow so they could
Yep.
hide in it and then kill someone. They turned a card where your enemies had big head mode, making it easy to get headshots. I'm like, very
Solid.
creative ideas. I don't know if like people have an adverse reaction to cards already, and then we're already entering a space where I feel like maybe hero shooters and 5v5 games are getting a little oversaturated. So I'm a little worried for this one.
Yeah, it's like Call of Duty Neon White. That's the way that I think about it, where it's got
Good
like
comparison. Yeah.
the card stuff in there. Um, I don't know if it's just weird because there's an audience for this, and I think that I might fall into it in a really weird way. Like I play card games. I also love shooters, as we all know. Um, but it's gonna take a lot of testing and learning to figure out how you make that work, because today's shooters have to be like super fast paced. How do you bake like selecting your right cards in there? Is it just based on like you can kind of use triggers like grenades in Call of Duty? Like, what are we doing with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious about it. I'm also curious if it's going to be like free to play, or what's your monetization on this? Because if it's free to play and you make me buy booster packs, goodbye. I'm out.
Yeah.
I do not want to do that. But if it's like 20 or 30 bucks, then I might give it a shot. I'm interested. But yeah, very, very strange game. I cannot argue with that. Very weird game.
Yeah. Speaking of weird games, Noodle Cake showed up, and if you're not familiar with that developer, you're not alone because I was like, what do they make? They showed off a rat cozy game, as best I described it, called Winter Burrow, coming to PC, Xbox, and Game Pass 2025. You essentially play as a little rat. So like a farming sim, dress up the rat. Ended really disturbingly with the rat's friend being taken by an owl, and I was like, oh my god, this trailer got dark all of a sudden. But
I did.
I was a little like, this feels out of place at the Xbox showcase. Personally, for me, I was like, it should have been like the wholesome direct yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been a good place for that. I think that for me, this is whenever just looking at the composition of the showcase, like Frag Punk, Winter Burrow, and Mixtape that we'll talk about in a minute. This is when Xbox was kind of like, by the way, indies as well. We're really into
Mm-hmm.
indies over here on Xbox. So I think this was more of like, I don't want to call it virtue signaling, but like showcasing that they have a little bit of that representation from that side. Not a me game at all. Never going to play this, but again, every one of these games speaks to somebody. So, shout out if you're the person that's been wanting Winter Burrow for a long time. I think I heard about this game a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if that was already announced or if I'm thinking about something else, but yeah, just a little guy coming in 2025, as they say on Polygon.
Yeah. Annapurna showed up next with Mixtape, as you suggested, coming 2025 to PC, Xbox, and Game Pass. I believe this is from the team that made The Artful Escape.
Yep. Yep, that is correct. Didn't do anything for me. Definitely want to check out the soundtrack though, because it's got like that late 80s, early 90s kind of vibe to it. I love the Artful Escape as well. So maybe it's one that I will try, because that was one that I enjoyed that I wasn't expecting, but not typically my kind of game from this one. It had kind of a Life is Strange vibe to it for me, but also like more joyous. And we'll talk about Life is Strange more in a couple of minutes too.
Yeah, this one is not a Kevin game. I actually did not like the Artful Escape at all. And
Really?
everyone I know praises it. I tried it on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, I do not like this game. And this kind of gave me obviously those vibes because it's from a similar team. I think it's really cool the idea of blending games with music and telling a story that way. I think that is awesome. This just isn't something that appeals to me, but I can see this hitting with that kind of audience.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The Artful Escape was like, I enjoyed the guitar and like music elements of it because the music just flowed so well. But I definitely, it's not a game for everybody. It was also like 5 or 6 hours. It was not a big
Yeah,
game.
it's a
So
very
yeah.
short game. Asobo showed up with Flight Simulator 2024 coming November 19th to PC, Xbox, and Game Pass. I got excited for a minute when I saw the Asobo logo, and then I realized, all right, they make Flight Sim too. And then I immediately proceeded to sit there for the 4 minutes this was on screen and like, all right,
Yep.
let's get going.
Yeah, I was just I mentioned to you before the show, I watched it with my fiance on the couch, and we were just making the various noises that each of the vehicles would make. So just helicopter on the screen, just boom 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 boom, just we were doing plane noises. So yeah, again, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. I'm not somebody who enjoys it. I'm good, thank you. But yeah, more power to you. At least it wasn't 20 years this time around, because I think that the other Microsoft Flight Sim was like decades in the making or something.
Oh, meanwhile, I had a killer joke about I can't wait for the Black Ops 6 crossover.
Oh, actually, I mean, they
Yeah.
did have the emergency drop pod thing or whatever in there, so maybe.
ESO we already chatted about. Square Enix showed up. Deck 9. Life is Strange Double Exposure coming October 29th to Xbox Series X and S and PC. They're going back to the original character from Life is Strange. She's trying to solve a murder mystery. I have no experience with Life is Strange. This isn't my type of well, I do like narrative style games like this, usually horror based. So if Life is Strange was horror, then yeah, I'm all about it. But this didn't do much for me personally. Kyle, who my brother who loves Life is Strange, was kind of upset because the story trailer seems to indicate they chose a canon ending for the original game, one that he didn't particularly want. He
Hmm.
liked another ending in the game. So make of that what you will. But Life is Strange, how you feeling, Sam?
I played the original Life is Strange. They're just not really my games. Like they're not a thing that I'm typically interested in. I respect them. I like them. Like they're fine. Probably not one that I'll play though. But more
Mhm.
Life is Strange if you're into that. Cool that they're going back to the original character though. I like that. I mean, as
Yeah.
somebody who didn't choose an ending and doesn't really care, more power to you on that. Sorry about that.
Indiana Jones got another story trailer, still coming 2024. I got to be honest, I didn't like this at all.
Really? Why
This
not?
I just felt like we didn't need another story trailer. I would have liked to see more gameplay. The gameplay they did show us was just clips from the other trailer that they had already showed us, and no release date. Still don't know if this game is actually going to hit this year. I was pretty bored during this. Like I thought Indiana Jones showed pretty well last time. I don't think it showed well this time at all.
It's very weird. It's like there are some shots where it looks so good, and then there are other ones where it's got this uncanny valley kind of thing, where it's like an almost fully edited. Whenever they made Harrison Ford young again in that newer Indiana Jones movie, it's like
Hmm.
mid production. Like I think it's going to be very good. What I'm concerned with is that when people see machine games, they think Wolfenstein. And when I think Wolfenstein, I almost think Doom, where it's like so action packed, so gun heavy that it's just going to be action from start to finish. And I think that what we're going to be getting with Indiana Jones is a whole lot of story to the point that it's almost a movie, and a whole lot of puzzles with some action sprinkled in. I think that's what it's going to end up being, because how action packed can flinging a whip be 24/7? Like you're not
Hmm.
going to have a gun slinging Indiana Jones the entire game. Um, so it's going to be a really interesting one to see how they kind of balance all of that. And it might be a really good example of a machine games game that isn't going to be typically what you would expect. So, as somebody who likes Indiana Jones, like I grew up watching the movies with my dad, I will be playing this. I assume that it's probably going to be like a December game. Feels like a good Christmas
Hope so.
game. Yeah, I think that could be, if they're still saying 2024, I feel like that's probably where they're leaning. But I agree it wasn't the strongest showing. However, it proved to me that they're capturing the writing really well. Like it feels like an Indiana Jones movie. Like it has that same tone and vibe to it. And Troy Baker does sound a whole lot like Harrison Ford. That
Yeah,
is
he's doing
for
good.
sure.
He's
Yeah,
doing a
he
good
sounds
job.
just like young Harrison. So good on you, Troy.
I checked during the live react. I was like, that's Troy Baker, right? Like I didn't make
Yeah.
that up in my mind that he was playing that character, but I'm still excited for it. Like I want to check out the game. I say that as someone that isn't an Indiana Jones fans. Like I don't enjoy the movies particularly. So
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Mecha Break coming 2025. This is I don't know what we're doing. Why is this on the showcase? Gotta be honest. This is that Gundam game. I was like, what? It feels like a Jeff Keighley mobile game ad slot that was happening during Summer Game Fest.
I was trying to like piece together why I was there, and I was like, is this an Armored Core DLC or so? And then I saw like some lack of quality in a couple of the animations, and I was like, nah, that can't be Armored Core. Yeah, I don't know what this was, but it was there for sure, and I don't know why, but it was there.
Wu Chang Fallen Feathers coming 2025 to Xbox and Game Pass. I thought this looked awesome. I'm really digging the art style of this game. And then they showed the gameplay, and I was like, it's a in Souls like. Oh my god! Did every Japanese or Eastern developer get together and say, "Guys, we're only making Souls games now"? Because that's how I feel between this Summer Game Fest, the PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah.
Everything I'm seeing is a damn Souls game. Again, the fact it's coming to Game Pass and I think it like artistically looks really cool makes me want to try it. Like I might download it, might give it a try. I'm gonna see how difficulty is. But if you give me a difficulty option, I'll play it for sure. Like Stellar Blade, I was all in on that because I had difficulty options. But it sucks that I'm seeing these games that I'm like, oh man, it looks so good, but I don't want to hate myself playing it.
Oh yeah, let me tell you, man. 2023, year of Wolong for Samuel Adams. 2025, year of Wu Chang for Samuel Adams. I am in. But I totally agree. I brought this up with somebody else, and I was like, I feel like we're getting inundated with Souls-like games that look the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
Like between like we had Wolong last year, then we had Rise of the Ronin, then we had Stellar Blade, which is its own thing. Like but it's still similar kind of gameplay. We got Phantom Blade Zero that was announced. We have what's that other one that Sony has coming that looks
Sony
identical?
had a few. There was what was like Where Wind Meets or something
Yes,
was
yeah,
one
where
that
winds meet.
looked
Yeah,
just like I thought that was Phantom Blade Zero when the trailer started. It wasn't. I think they had another one that they showed off. The one Kyle Stevenson's doing PR for. I can't remember. And
yes.
Aura or something. That one looked pretty similar as well. And I was like,
And then we
man,
got a Black Myth Wukong that's coming out as well, and now we've got Wu
this has
Chang
got a
Fallen
monkey.
Feathers.
It's got a monkey in it.
It does have a monkey in it. Yeah, it's true. But it's just like they're all so similar. And I'm sure they all do things that make them unique. But like, how do you prove that to just general players? You know what I mean? Like if you've got a Steam list up of like top Souls likes coming out in 2024, 2025, there are 8 of the exact same game that
Mhm.
almost have similar names across the board. It's getting kind of weird.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like this happens every so often in the industry where some like we get the FromSoft kind of kickstarted this, I would say.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Fortnite kickstarted, I would say, the live service battle royale craze that has lasted. Like this happens every so often. And then you get a bunch of games until people get sick of them, and then we'll get less and less of them, and
Yep.
eventually they'll just like, okay, these are the developers that make these games. It's kind of what I'm hoping, and then because I think at a certain point you get sick of Souls games.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at this, it literally looks like more Wolong to me, and like
Mm.
I will gladly take more Wolong, but I am also skipping Rise of the Ronin. I am skipping like all of these other games. I'll probably play back Black Myth Wukong, but like, yeah, it's gonna have the exact same feel to it. So how do you switch it up? At least with stuff like
I was
I
gonna
think it was
say,
called what's up?
speaking of mixing, another crab's treasure is how you don't burn the genre out.
No, totally. And another example that I was thinking of is I want to call was it called the Techromancer or
I
something
think
like
so. I think
or
so.
no, I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the Surge. That's what I'm thinking
Oh,
about.
yeah. From the PlayStation had to make a game. Yeah, yeah. This.
Whatever it was, but there was the Surge and the Surge 2, and it was like a Souls-like game that was different. You know, like it had a different look and feel to it.
Oh no, this is the team that made Atlas Fallen.
Wait, is it? I had no idea.
Yeah, Deck 13. They made Atlas Fallen.
Yeah, because the Surge 2 was good. I also think that like you've got your Bloodborne style with like Lies of P, and then you've got your like Wolong style stuff, the Rise of the Ronin kind of thing, and then you've got the Surge where it's like technical and that kind of thing. I feel like a lot of these are just falling into that more traditional Japanese looking aesthetic, and I think
Mhm.
that's where a lot of them, like another Crab's Treasure, had that Souls like gameplay, but it switched it up in a way that was like, hey, let's just make it, I don't know, Little Mermaid, and then it's just weird, you know. So I would love to see them diversify and get different stuff in there, but people are going to play them. So we'll see if they do weed themselves out like you think.
Yeah, and both the ones that were highlighted in this showcase come into Game Pass, and they look
Very cool.
visually different. So, Avowed, still 2024, no release date. Kind of a quick trailer, just showing some gameplay. I'm still all in on Avowed. I think it looks better every trailer we see it. It looks like my kind of game, a fantasy RPG. So I don't really have much to say here besides like give me a date. The trailer would have been perfect if you give me a date.
Yeah, I definitely think it's time for a date. I don't know if it'll get bumped or not. That's the question because this doesn't feel like a I mean, it could be your November game, but again, like how packed do you want your holiday season to be? The thing that sucks about Avowed is that as the roster gets more packed, the less time in the spotlight Avowed gets, because last year it was like one of the big three of the
Mhm.
showcase where we were talking about Avowed up there with Starfield. And now you've got this crowded lineup of like, oh, we're talking about Gears, we're talking about Call of Duty. Like these are big games now. And then Avowed gets like a 1 minute to 2 minute showcase, and you're like, oh, well, it's coming out. I'll play it. Like I'm hyped about it. But it sucks that it's been so long now that it's not going to be like the front of the marketing. It's kind of like on that Hellblade level now, where it's not getting put to the wayside, but it's also not like Hellblade's gone. Like
Mhm.
Xbox didn't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like no, we're not talking about nobody's talking about Hellblade anymore. That's what's going to happen to Avowed, and it's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I do think there is probably going to be a really good RPG in there. Maybe it'll hit and be a surprise, like the Outer Worlds was for them, and then we see it develop a kind of a cult fan base. But it's just hard to stand out when Xbox, I feel, has so many of these style of games coming out.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like coming out of this showcase, no one's going to be talking about Life is Strange, uh, Deep Exposure, Double Exposure, whatever. Like, no one's talking about the small games. We're talking about the big boys now. Like,
Hmm.
you've acquired stuff that is so big, it almost overshadows everything else you do. And so that's a super difficult thing to manage whenever you've got games that are good at every level, from the indie published stuff all the way up to the very top of the AAA, quadruple A, if you want to call it that. I don't know. But they've got stuff at every level, and it's hard to like split it up and give it all the time that it needs.
Last handful of announcements coming up. Rebellion showed up. They're the team behind Sniper Elite. They came here with Atom Fall coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass in 2025. This trailer to me was maybe the most generic thing I saw at this showcase. Like, I walked away from it going, nothing they showed here looked bad, but this looked like, hey, Chat GPT, make me a video game where you fight some robots and like I don't know what else to say. This just screamed generic the video game to me.
It looked like a Sniper Elite mod. That was where I
Hmm.
was at with it. And the way that I think about it, I would rather have this than Sniper Elite. What are we on now? 6, 7? I don't even know
A
where we're
lot.
at. Yeah, like there have been so many Sniper Elite games. Like we know they're good at gunplay, especially the like meticulous planned out sniping stuff. You saw a couple of hints that they're probably going to have that kind of mechanic come back. Like you have the alarms that you can shoot that was shown off on one of the posts. You've got the snipers that are sitting there guarding somebody that looks pretty important that could probably use a shot, like that kind of thing. Like they're insinuating. But I'm glad that they're trying different stuff and it's not just Sniper Elite, because I think at a
Hmm.
certain point you're like, hey, we're on Sniper Elite 8. Oh, well, that's great. I bet I know what I'm doing in the game. Probably shooting some people from a long distance.
In slow
Um,
mo.
in slow mo. That's the thing. So I'm excited about this one. I agree that it has a certain what was that game that I played a couple of months back? It has a certain Atomic Heart flavor to it, where
Yeah.
it's very like, ooh, this is a strange kind of realistic robot game. But I'm interested. I want to see what they've got for sure.
Ubisoft showed up with their classic, hey, here's a little trailer, come watch our showcase tomorrow type deal with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Looks cool if you're into Assassin's Creed and or samurai and ninjas.
It does. I think the best compliment that I can give this Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay trailer is that if I didn't know the key giveaways of Assassin's Creed, I wouldn't have known it was an Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
game. And I think that's a really good way to get more people into the franchise. Like if you go in with immediately going into the Eagle Dive or whatever the thing is, and you're like, I forget what they actually call it, but if you go into like the key tropes of Assassin's Creed right off the bat, you turn people off. But you went in with like a, hey, here's a ninja that happens to have a hidden blade. Hey, here's this giant samurai dude that happens to have XYZ. So I'm excited to see more tomorrow, but it was a really cool trailer. I agree.
Mhm. GSC Game World, Stalker 2 gameplay, September 5th, coming to Xbox and Game Pass, as we know. Just a nice little reminder. I think Xbox really is banking on this being the like a big third party title this fall for them. Still think it looks really good. I'm a little concerned because everyone told me how hard the Stalker games are after that
Yeah.
trilogy drop that I won't be able to play the game, but I think it looks good. I think this is a good showing for it. Just a good reminder like, hey, come play our game in September.
Visually looks incredible. I am very curious how it runs on an Xbox. I don't know if that trailer was on an Xbox, but it was very, very smooth gameplay, like incredibly good looking gameplay. So I'm hyped about it. I think this might be, if I'm building a new PC this fall, one of the games that I save for like the ultra wide on the highest end, like 50 series graphics card or the 5K or whatever. But it looks really good. You know, I think that obviously they've been kind of unintentionally forced into taking their time with the war against Russia and stuff. But with that being said, like that time has been clearly well utilized. Like it is a well baked game if the final game can deliver on what this trailer brings.
I will say September 5th, probably not the best release date for me now because Astrobot is the 6th and then Space Marine 2 is the 9th.
I don't think the Astrobot audience is going to be playing
Probably
Stalker,
not, but for
but
me.
yeah, but Space Marine, I do think there's some overlap there.
And that game looks so good.
The Space Marine 2 looks very good. I'm sure that this Thursday we'll talk about like more of our general summer game fest thoughts and
Yeah.
talk about like the shows last week, because I know we haven't talked about that yet. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very crowded, I think early fall, especially September, October with Call of Duty in there as well. It's going to be a very, very packed season.
Mhm. Next up, Sarah Bond took the stage. We saw all three of the big Xbox heads during this showcase at one point or the other. I was surprised Matt Booty actually, showed up and said something. He usually doesn't, but Sarah Bond's term. This is when I thought we were going to get that back compat or Xbox like drop, because the way she was
Yeah.
talking about like we're committed to like bringing your games forward, making jumps in hardware, and then I was like, oh, is this the handheld announcement? Nah. So what we did get was some hardware. We have an all white or robot white as they call it Xbox Series console, Series X all digital 1 terabyte for $450. We have an Xbox Series S 1 terabyte for $350 and an Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Special Edition for $600 coming this holiday. I saw some people asking why the Series X with the disk drive is now 100. I go, did you miss that it was an extra terabyte of storage? That's
Inevitably, yes.
yeah, that's the big one there. I will say I kind of missed the cylinder. I was looking forward to having a,
Yeah.
a, a router, but I would love if my Xbox was white. I've always preferred white consoles. I love the 360, my PS5. Is there some trade-in program I can just give them my disc Xbox and get the white one? Probably won't do that, but cool for the people that want it. I don't know if this is like the big announcement that we were talking about last episode. I know we were like, what if you drop the Xbox price down 100, get the digital in a lot cheaper? This is still $450.
Yeah, I just want to say that my thoughts are with all of the GameStop employees that now have to test every Xbox Series S they get to make sure that it's not the 500 gigabyte one. Because it's very weird that last year they were like, let's make it black. And then this year they're like, let's make the bigger one white. And then they just like, we're just going back and forth. I agree. The giant pillar Xbox Series S looks really good with the white on it. Obviously they call it robot white. That's the official name of the white controller. That's what it's typically been already. I will say very, very interested in the new black with the green touches on it.
It
It's
looks
not,
nice.
it looks really good, but it's like I've already got a 1 terabyte system with a 1 terabyte expansion card in it. So I have the 2 terabyte already.
Yeah.
My question is like, can I buy the controller they've got there separately? Because that little green back on it, I'm interested in that. And again, we all know Xbox and the controller joke, like they put out more controllers than games. Yeah, I get it. But that being said, I'm gonna buy it. So I definitely don't hate that idea. So it's weird to have this many variations coming around this late in the generation. That's just strange. But I guess if there's a market for it, 450 is nice to get that power bump down. But that makes the Series S maybe a little bit harder of a sell. It's so weird to balance that.
Yeah, I don't know if this pricing methodology is kind of the best. Like it's not what we talked about. I think our ideas might be better than what they're actually doing, and obviously we don't know the logistics of making and selling these consoles. But from a value proposition, if you're a general consumer, I do think that like, oh, it's only $50 less to get an all digital Series X. Like I might as well just get the disc drive at that point, though. Like
Yeah.
for that's my thinking anyway, to have the option. Like is $50 really gonna, if you're already spending that much, gonna dissuade you?
Yeah, I think that, man, if they had been able to take the hit and do down to 400, I mean, I was talking in the Discord earlier with somebody, but like with college football coming out this year and like
Hmm.
games really starting to move to where, hey, we're finally getting off this last gen stuff and you have more of a reason to buy a next gen console. This could have been the opportunity to be on par with that $400 price tag that even like PlayStation 5 has when they're on sale. You know, like that's a really big opportunity. And they just kind of missed it by a little bit. I don't think $50 is make or break. And either way, you've got the Series S at $299 now still. So it'll be interesting to see how the holiday sales do now that more games are getting off of last gen and going all in on this new powerful hardware.
Yeah, I would echo those thoughts as well because I man, I'm not. We've talked about it, but the Xbox sales figures have not been good recently, and I don't know if this announcement does anything to change that.
I mean, I don't think the Series X console announcement has to. I do think that the rest of the
Hopefully the
announcements we've
game,
been
yeah.
talking
Hopefully
about,
the
yeah,
games do, yeah.
like the hour that we've been talking about all of these games, and like I come in as like, I mean, admittedly, your stereotypical bro shooter, a guy of like, yo, we got Metal Gear, we've got Fallout 76 getting expansions, new Starfield content, you've got new Dragon Age, you've got Doom, you've got Call of Duty, like that'll sell a console, I guarantee it.
Well, let's get to our final and maybe the biggest announcement of the day that I don't think anybody saw coming. Gears of War E-Day. Uh, So the trailer starts, Marcus obviously fighting fighting for his life there, and then the building collapses, he's hanging on, and someone lifts him up. Who lifts him up? Dom. Man,
Absolutely.
I was genuinely confused because I was like, "Oh, this is Gear 6." Like the rumors have been Gear 6.
Right.
Like this is going to be I'm sure Kate or someone like his son, and then they'll have a canon ending for the end of Gears 5. And then it was Dom, and I go, what? And then I was like, what's going on? And then my mind jumped to Gears of 2 like remake. And I was like, I was genuinely
Exactly.
confused. And then it said E-Day. Turns out this is a prequel. This is
Very cool.
going to it is the next mainline Gears game. It is not a spin-off. It is in all intents and purposes Gear 6. They're just not doing the next part of Kate and all their stories, which I think is an interesting choice. But I can't say I'm upset because man, this I'm excited. Like bringing back the two OGs and just letting me go. Oh,
Yeah, it's I was very very excited because when this first happened and this first popped up, one more thing, obviously it's going to be Gears. We've heard about Gears, and so I thought that it was the remastered trilogy or something because I was trying to piece it together of wow, like Marcus looks young. Why does he look so young? Is it a flashback? Is it
mhm.
something that like I don't know? Kate's got some kind of psychedelic power again, and she can see like back in time. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm really really happy they're going with this. In a way, it almost feels like a reboot of like Gears, like going back to the beginning. There are so many more stories that you can tell with these characters. And I'll be curious if maybe Gears of War is your Marcus Phoenix JD stuff and Gears continues the story of Kate and like the squad over there. Which very well could be the case. Either way, I love that we're getting this, and we'll probably see it in 2028. So get hyped.
I am, yeah, no window, obviously. I don't know what I don't even know what people were thinking for the next, like, when's the next Gears coming? Because I have heard people say, like, oh, it's got to be next year. Like, the coalition's been had all this time. And I was like, they've been doing stuff. Like, they're working on it. I, I could very well see this being a cross-gen title for like the next Xbox
Oh yeah, I can
generation,
see that.
like launching on both consoles. I'm there day one whenever it does happen because Dom was my favorite character in Gears. So I don't have much more to say except like bring back the horror elements, like make it scary again, like the first one, like capture what made Gears the original trilogy, mainly one and two especially, but like so impactful.
I mean, that's really what they're doing. And I think that this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, where Call of Duty's, we got the South Park member berries kind of thing going on of like, member Frank Woods? remember Call of Duty, remember Black Ops? And now it's got, remember Mad World? You liked the Mad World trailer back in the day, didn't you? Guess what? Piano version now. And we've got Marcus and Dom. They're back. Once again, it's not their kids anymore. It's all, you don't have the weird young people anymore. So they're really going hard into the nostalgia. And like, it feels like hey, you remember the Xbox 360? Yeah, you do. Guess what? It's back now. So like, come back. It looks really good. That's the kind of vibe that I got from the showcase, and I loved it.
That's probably a good feeling to have, trying to recapture the magic of your most successful console.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think overall a good showcase. I might be a like it's hard. I'm a little higher on it after we broke down everything because like
Mhm.
not one of those I was like, oh, this looks like garbage, except that weird mech game personally. But everything else, I'm like, okay, I understand why this is here. This looks good at least. Like this is a good game, and most of them I'm excited to play. So I'm a little higher than I was, but I still like release dates, less CGI. Like that's all I need. Give me that. But I'm looking forward. Xbox has a very bright future in terms of games coming out.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like anybody that they have officially defeated the Xbox has no games mantra, like that little tagline that we've been working with for the
We
past
got
couple of
too
years.
many games.
Like there are literally too many games to play almost in Game Pass. Like, I mean, that's my question coming out of this entire thing. Obviously, I'm excited about the games. I'm happy that we're getting them. So many of them on Game Pass day one. That's huge. Is this like going to lead to a price increase? Because like literally there are so many games here for like $17 a month. It's crazy how many games you get.
As I said it before, don't increase the price, just make a new tier that or allow us to customize or something. Like you can't be continually bumping it up because at some point it's just going to be too much for the average consumer. I've heard people say they'll pay $30 a month. I've heard people say like, "Oh, it's probably worth $50 a month." I'm like, "It's not. It's not worth like I would not pay $50 a month."
I mean, I would probably pay 50, but that's just because like I bump around a lot and like I'm playing a lot of different games. Because it's like buying one game a month. Like, like I probably would do that on a normal basis anyway. I do think that like actually, Phil, you didn't hear me say that. I lied. I'm not going to pay $50. But I feel like 20 is like the max for a lot of people
That's why
because
I
20
mhm.
bucks is like, all right, it's a little bit pricey, but you've got like this giant catalog. You got Gears, you've got Halo, you've got like every Call of Duty, whatever. But like beyond that, you're like, oh, it's a little bit like not everybody's got that kind of money to throw around for 50 bucks every month. Like $50 a year to play a game an entire year is what some people are working with. So keep that in mind too.
Ghostly March says, "I'll pay what I pay now, no more than that." Uh,
Understandable.
Silking it, I'll
Understandable.
stay at 15 to 20, even if I have to choose a number of games per year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a really good question to have because like 50 for people that are bumping around and like trying every single thing Game Pass has to offer, the value is like in the eye of the player, right? Like if you are playing tons of different games, you might say, all right, like we talk
Mhm.
about gamer math. All right, if I paid $5 for the 10 games that I played this month, pretty good deal. Like you can think about it that way, but also like $50 is $50. That's a week to the grocery store for some people if you're like flying
Mhm.
solo. So yeah, it's a hard thing to break down price wise.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I will say I think one of the biggest benefit or one of the biggest positives of this showcase was it didn't fight back against the narrative of, oh, we're going fully multi-platform, but we didn't see, apart from Doom, which has a legacy on Xbox, and then the live service stuff and the third party stuff, like we didn't see anything that was like, we're putting this everywhere. Like this is a PlayStation game. Like as far as I know, nothing has come out that has said any of the big exclusive first party games are coming to PlayStation. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think this would be the showcase. Like, you definitely don't want to do that at an Xbox showcase where, like, your hardest of hardcore people are gathered in the room where they can audibly boo while they're watching it. Like, you definitely
mhm.
don't want that. But I'll be really interested to see in the future. Like, obviously, you've got some third party games here, but Avowed feels like one that could potentially come to PlayStation at some point. Thinking to the future, one we didn't see, The Outer Worlds 2. I could easily see that
Mhm.
coming to PlayStation, stuff like that. It would be a very, very interesting thing to see. But your core groups there, yeah, there's no sign of that. It feels like Xbox is we're back on the bi-weekly upswing of now we're all happy and excited about Xbox. So we'll reconvene roughly around June. What would that be? 16th, 17th, and we'll be mad again. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe by Thursday, Xbox will be dead again for the show, so we can talk about
Yeah,
that.
definitely. They'll be selling out soon. I guarantee it.
Ghosty March, I did highlight his comment, but he says, we also didn't see them use the word exclusive during this showcase, which I think is important to note.
Yeah, I think that if anything, and I don't know if it's just the way that I've been seeing it as well, but I really feel like between PlayStation bringing their Lego Horizon game to like Nintendo Switch and PC, obviously no Xbox, but still not a PlayStation exclusive, just stuff like that, you're starting to see little signs of more and more people and companies agreeing that like it doesn't matter where you're playing it, the games are what really matter. And so it's like I love the fact that we're spending more time talking about stuff like, Stalker 2 looks visually incredible versus like where's Stalker 2 going? Gears of War looks incredible. Oh yeah, it's going to be on PC too. I don't care. Have fun. Looks great. Like I love the fact that we're having that rather than just going back and forth about where you can buy or play it. It doesn't really matter anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't even pick up on that during the showcase, but the fact that they're leaving those doors open and we're like, wait, we're
Yeah.
not saying exclusive. It is only coming to Xbox right now. Like that's all we're announcing.
Yeah, I know I've had like conversations on socials over the past week of like the idea of Halo getting remade. I'm sure we'll talk about that maybe on this week's show.
Yeah.
But like a Halo Combat Evolved remake from the ground up that could be coming to PlayStation. And there are so many people that are like, if Xbox does this, then Xbox is dead. Okay, so if they keep it exclusive, I don't want anybody complaining about dead servers. Okay, like get more people playing
We're
the game.
dead no matter what. I don't know what
I
you're
mean,
talking
I
about.
like I don't know what you want. If you do you want hundreds of thousands of people playing the game again, or do you want like your box to have an exclusive that nobody else can play? Because if you want nobody else to play it, guess what? I know how to make it happen. Like just keep it locked to your box. I don't know. The more that I'm in this new world we're living in, the more that I'm like, I get it. Okay, just like let more people play.
Yeah, I mean Nintendo won the console wars. They got a Sony IP. You
It's
know,
true. It's true.
that's
They
crazy.
have they got Horizon, which is crazy.
Yeah. The first comment on Phil Spencer's thing, like highlighting the showcase, someone just says, "So many great games, you don't need to sell them on PlayStation." Like, oh come on,
Like,
what
what is going on with that,
what are we
man?
doing here? Anyway, I think that is it for the Xbox showcase. We will be back Thursday with all the other general news, any fallout from the showcase. I know Phil Spencer is doing an IGN interview later today, so maybe we'll get something to talk about from that. But Sam, thanks for joining me. You want to let everyone know where they can find you until then.
Yeah, you can find me over on Threads at JamPackSam, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. Enjoying talking about games. I'll have a lot of content coming out over the next couple of days. Getting ready to work until 11 or 12 at night here on cutting some things. But yeah, you can find me over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, busy couple of days coming up, huh?
I have slept about 5 hours every night for the past week, so that's been fun.
Yeah, but them shorts ain't gonna make themselves, you know.
Now you got to keep cranking them out, man, for sure.
All right, well, we're gonna check out Sam and his hard work. I saw you almost. Are you at 30,000 subscribers yet?
Coming up on 30K. Yeah, we hit 25K last week, and now
Yeah,
we're coming up quickly on 30K.
I congratulated you on 25. I went to your channel, saw 29. I go, hold up. Am I like, did I imagine this 25? And then I was like, well, he's killing it. So yeah, I'm
It's
very
kind of
proud of you.
crazy.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
currently at 29,640, which is
Whew.
a wild thing. I've had a lot of influx over the past 30 days, so I appreciate it.
Next year, he's gonna be at the Xbox showcase, everyone.
I mean, hey, if you want me to be there, I'll be there, Phil. You just let me know. Drop me a DM.
All right. Well, you can find me at the Muffin Mon on Twitter, on Threads. That's 1 I own 7A. Follow us at Save Game Media. Stay up to date with all of our latest. Until next time, goodbye.